Hey guys, it's me, Army Men Productions here, and today I am going over a Army Men collection video. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for subscribing because it has mean a lot to me. And I just can't believe we're finally at 500 at the end of the year. So, big moment here. This is an Army Men collection video. I am working on a stop motion video later down the line, and that should be out in this month. So there's this new chapters feature for YouTube. And each of these chapters will go over different sections of the army. First is the Greens. The Green Army, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about how long I've collected them, what brands I've collected them by, my recommendations, what I like and dislike, and that would go on to the tans, the grays, and I actually put together the pink, red, and blue all in one because they're so small, and it just felt like it'd be weird to have three small chapters. And then finally, at the very end, I'm going to talk about my Civil War figures because those are kind of like a different era almost, even though the other armies are like Cold War and World War II, Civil War is like kind of distinct to me personally. And they consist of the Confederate and Union soldiers, and that has been updated majorly recently. So that is the very thing I'm excited to show you and for you to see. Without further delay, let's just get right into the first chapter, the Green Army. All right, so the first one is the Green Army. So this is probably my biggest collection I have overall. Out of all of them, this is the biggest army. There is so much actually that, first of all, I couldn't fit my vehicles on here. And second of all, I had like smaller green soldiers that I just decided not to show. I also got rid of the elite soldiers, if you remember from my last collection video. So they're also kind of put away in their own separate location. So if you wanted to see those, you would have to probably just go back to the old video because they haven't changed. But yeah, I've been collecting more off of BMC toys and just like other toy stores overall. BMC obviously is one of the ones I'm currently getting more into because all their different branding and they're starting to expand. And I know Timmy is too, but they haven't really gotten to the what is it, the Super Fortress they're making. So until that comes out, I'm probably not going to get any more Timmy soldiers. But overall, there are probably enough men here to make an army. Enough here to probably, I don't know, decimate. I'm trying to think, what would they decimate? Maybe a nuclear power plant. Regardless of which, I've been collecting these guys for like 3 years now. So obviously, I'm very proud and very happy actually to kind of have this big collection to be able to use this because the way I want to shoot films in the future are like these big shots I want to take. And this is a perfect opportunity to use all of them. Use all these green soldiers in one big shot. And that's going to be exciting. And I'm really hyped about that. So hopefully, maybe in the future, I'll be able to do that. But currently, I just have a bunch of them for no good reason besides different poses. Now, obviously, uh, I've been kind of improving on my collection because I kind of started out with these like bland soldiers and it slowly became more and more detailed. So, as you kind of see from their separate regions, there are some of them that look less detailed than others. And in fact, my latest ones, which right now is the, I believe, I actually, you know what? I don't even know. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know where they're from. Some people said Airfix, from what I know. I want to say Brothers of Plastic, maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. Anywho, regardless of which, That brand in of itself I bought from a toy store, and these soldiers are, very unique. And I was like, oh, they'll probably make for some good, photos as well as maybe a video in the future. So hopefully I'll get to use those. Uh, Kind of transitioning from the troops to the tanks. The tanks and vehicles, they've been collected, I guess, over the same amount. I mean, I've been focused more on soldiers, and now as I've reached this limit of a unit for the Green Army, I want to start focusing now in the future for vehicles for the Green Army because I already have enough troops. I don't need any more. I could shoot a billion videos with those guys. But the vehicles, I don't exactly have, as many. I have a couple tanks. The tanks I don't really worry about. The main thing I think of is the air and naval stuff, like the battleships and the submarines, as well as like the dogfights that take up in the air and air support. So I'm starting to decide whether I want to focus more on land troops or like I want to do an actual more overall general warfare where there's dogfights happening in the air, there's aerial bombardment, there's naval bombardments, and just absolute chaos. But yeah, that's kind of it for both of the armies here. I just want to say that this is probably the biggest it's going to be for the Greens. I don't want to expand anymore, and if I am, it is most likely going to be in a very small way. So yeah, that is it for the Green Army. Let's kind of transition this over to the Tan Army now, where I think there's been, I would say, a very great improvement. All right, so we got the Tan Army. Now, this one I'm actually more proud of than the Greens, and this is because of the improvement with the troopers that I've made over this, I guess, year overall. Now, for the Tan troopers, there's one that sticks out, which is the orange. These are from a four army set. It had green, lime, blue, and orange, and I bought it mostly because of the green and lime and blue. The orange kind of was an extra, and I felt like I could incorporate this. So I kind of consider these as the elite unit, as these special forces that the Tans would call in if they needed assistance. And it kind of works because, they stand out, they look different from your average soldier, and that is going to be used in my upcoming December Christmas themed film. So hopefully I get to use those. Another thing is I want to say Airfix soldiers because they look more Airfix and official branded than all the other knockoffs when it comes to Airfix. And these guys were bought at a specific Armyman toy store. And I am very glad I got to pick up both the German and British because these look like official tan figures. And little secret, if you're watching this right now, at the end of the video, there's an extra segment that I will not put as a chapter where it goes over all these specific unique figurines I've been collecting. So you might want to stick around for that. And yeah, just to kind of move things along, the vehicles are more of the same, except I got an AC 130, baby. That bombardment from the sky, oh, it's gonna rain down bullet, metal flying down. But yeah, I am very proud of my AC 130. I want to get a green one as well, just so, it balances out. I want to focus more on vehicles. I kind of stated this in my Green Army, but just to reiterate here, I just want to get more vehicles, not just for the land, but sky and sea. So, like naval ships and dogfights with the, pilot planes and bomber planes. Not sure about like those stealth planes, but, more or less the same. And I just want to, expand on not just the soldiers, but also vehicles. And yeah, that's it for the Tan Army. Let's kind of go into the Gray Army, where it's kind of smaller, or actually not as small as I originally thought. All right. This I'm just going to call this the miscellaneous army because it's not just pink, blue, and red. There is medieval, a bit of medieval in there. I kind of put them in here because they're also red and blue. Kind of threw you guys off there, but just to clarify, they don't really have any importance besides, looking like medieval. And yeah, to kind of go back to the pinks and reds and blues, they have a bit of an update. They upgraded since you last seen them. The blues probably stick out the most because they got new, poses. They're not just cops and these cops with assault rifles and cowboys. They now have an official, more militaristic look to them, and those would probably be the most used. I might get Timmy ones. I might most likely not because I don't really have a use for blues right now. I might have one in the future, but currently there's just no reason for me to collect any blue soldiers. The reds, however, I I kind of that was a phase, really. The Red Army is kind of a unique scenario for me. I collected them, but the majority of the ones I collected are these weak sauce. In fact, I broke one of them as I was trying to set it up. That is how weak they are. They literally could snap like a twig. It's really sad. Uh, Obviously, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I did not add the elite troops in there. If I did, my bad. My brain's so bad that I can't remember what I actually put up there. And obviously, the pinks, they haven't even changed. There's no update on them. So, like, no point in asking anything about the pinks. Don't even think about them. They're useless. Literally, the worst thing in existence is the pinks. It's like a knockoff red. It's not cool. Vehicles. The only vehicles are the Reds, and they have like what, two tanks and two mechs. As cool as these are, the tanks aren't the actual size I would prefer them to. The mechs I could look away from. I can ignore the fact that they're kind of small. And yeah, literally nothing else to talk about them. Where do I get these guys from? I can't even remember. Besides the blue, like militaristic soldiers, I got that from the 4 army bucket, which had green, lime, blue, and orange soldiers. Pretty sure it was Amazon. I'm not sure why I didn't mention any brands until now where I bought them, but oh well. And yeah, now I'm gonna transition this probably to my favorite segment, my most important segment to me personally, which is the Civil War. So, without further delay, let's just get right into the Civil War figures. The Gray Army. Yep, kind of here now. When I originally made the script for this video, I thought the Grays were not as big. I was wrong. The Grays have definitely improved since I last checked on them, and mostly because of these smaller figurines that I have. They're not bad, uh, but they're not good either, including for stop motions because most of my soldiers are 132 scale. These are not 132 if it hasn't been obvious by their height comparison. So I used them in this series called Sam Revival. It's called Assault on Green Base. If you haven't seen that video, it's in the top, left corner, right? I don't remember, but it's up there. You better click it. It's a pretty good video. I made it. And yeah, so kind of moving on here, the latest I got from these Grey Army was the BMC Toy D-Day Germany set. And, well, yeah, you can already see them. There's not much to show. And, well, if you're wondering where the general's at, you might want to wait to the very end of the video after Civil War collection. You know? But, yeah, uh, the the vehicles, there's not much to talk about. There's not more to add. It's more of the same. In fact, those are even smaller and weaker. I don't exactly use a lot of these, or really any of them. And I probably won't be filming any Gray Soldier stop motions for a while until I have enough to work with. Maybe I'll use them. I'm not entirely sure. Most likely not. So let's kind of go on to the pinks, the blues, and the reds. The Civil War. This really hits home to me. Mostly because I'm in America. That's that's where home is. Home is where the heart is, and my heart's in America. So, the Civil War, to me personally, is one of my favorite wars. Now, I do not condone war. War's bad. Don't do war, kids. Yep, that you heard me. Don't do war. But the Civil War is an interesting war because there were so many close calls for the Union. And it's really important to learn from mistakes and kind of grow. So I kind of see the Civil War as something to learn from, as I do with any other war. And yeah, back in the old days where they walked up with lines, who's stupid enough to do that? You should have listened to the Indians, my boys. Come on, they at least hid in the bushes and were like separated so they could work as a unit. But whatever, whatever. But yeah, so the Confederates and Union. Obviously, as you can see, I do have a decent line of Confederate and Union soldiers, and I've actually kind of improved on working on that collection because what you're seeing now used to be half of what it was. Also, the fact there are horses, but I'll get into that later. And the Cannon Crew are probably one of my own, like most interesting things about it because I know there's a lot of improvements with the muskets and the ammo and the guns, but to me the most interesting thing they had in the Civil War was the cannons because it's just a big ball of iron being shot in a cannon, and it was just interesting because those are really used for sieges, really. That felt like a siege equipment, and to kind of see them used, even in the Battle of Gettysburg, was interesting. So that was my personal opinion. And yeah, the cavalry is something that I did not even know existed. I had bought these, and I was like, "There's no way these actually probably even look good. They're probably terrible." They are not that bad. I actually like them quite a lot. It was either buying that or the what it was. It was like this Eighth Cannon Division for General Pickett, or not General Pickett. I don't remember the Union name, but you know, overall, I like the horses. They give like a cavalry unit, and that could definitely be used in a stop motion. So I want to actually film a stop motion Civil War at some point. I'm not sure when I'll get around to it or if I can, but if I could, I would. All right. Obviously, as you can see in the front, there are generals. They are these generals that have obviously a unique white horse. And, well, for some reason, if you haven't noticed, the Union can actually sit on their horses. Like, come on, get good, guys. Do what the Confederates do. Just widen your legs. Come on. It's not that hard. But, yeah. Overall, I love the Civil War figures. I love kind of having them set up in like units in these line formations, even though it's a very dumb tactic. And I just kind of like to see the strategies used. Obviously, one of my favorite generals is Robert E. Lee. Very smart man for his time. Though he had made some weird decisions in the Battle of Gettysburg. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe I don't understand the full circumstance, but it felt odd. But regardless, overall, I love the quality of the figures. I love the history that it brings. The same thing goes to the World War II and the Cold War figures from, the other army brands. But this one's probably my favorite. And yeah, that's really it. Uh, if you're still around, I guess I'll show you my unique figurines, which span over all the armies, and I think a little bit more. And I'll kind of go in depth of where specifically, just so that I can get out of the air, where I bought most of my armies, where I recommend you buy your armies if you're planning on collecting. And yeah, that'd basically be it. So let's just go right into it. So, you guys have made it to the special part of the video where I have all these figurines that I have saved in a separate bag for a specific reason, mostly for important figures I want to use in stop motions in the future. So, yeah, this is just all of them lined up from all the different types of armies you've seen. There are some exceptions, like, for example, there's Civil War and the medieval ones I didn't really save because it didn't feel like I needed them as much. And yeah, that is the entire video. I want to thank you guys for having to subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't, you might as well do it now because hopefully I get more content out as my second semester starts for college. So can't wait to meet you all. And yeah, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just gonna let this play out to the end. Uh, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment down below, and yeah, that's it. Please enjoy.